The year of our Lord, 1649, October 18th. The following morning dawned grey and windless. Salem stirred early. Smoke rose from chimneys. Cartwheels complained in the mud. Men carried barrels toward the harbour, while gulls circled overhead, crying over fish refuse and tidewater. Kane moved through it all without hurry. The Covenant would not sail until the morning after next. That left him time. A man preparing for a voyage has many needs. Kane had few: powder, shot, and firearms worthy of trust. The townsfolk directed him toward a workshop near the edge of town, where the road bent toward the marshes. The building had once belonged to Ezekiel Blackwood, gunsmith. Now it belonged to his widow. The sign above the door remained unchanged: Blackwood, gunsmith. The lettering had faded beneath years of weather. Kane entered. The smell met him first: coal smoke, lamp oil, oiled walnut, steel filings, the scent of honest labor. The workshop held no unnecessary decoration. Racks of musket stocks lined one wall. Barrels rested upon wooden supports. Springs, locks, and unfinished parts occupied the shelves behind the counter. A woman worked at a bench beneath the window. She looked up once. No surprise, no greeting, only assessment. She wore a plain charcoal wool bodice over a linen shift, the sleeves rolled to the forearm, a dark apron over the garments beneath. Her black hair was pinned tightly behind her head beneath a simple coif stained faintly with soot and oil. There was nothing fashionable about her, everything practical. It did not suit her. The plainness sat upon her the way a borrowed coat sits upon a man it was not cut for, worn by necessity, not belief. Kane judged her perhaps 35. Her hands told the rest: burn marks, fine scars, calluses, a craftswoman's hands. "You are Mistress Blackwood."
I am.
Her voice carried neither softness nor challenge, only certainty. Kane approached the counter. "I require pistols."
Most men do.
The faintest trace of humor touched the corner of her mouth.
Few require good ones.
She set aside the lock plate she had been fitting.
What sort?
The sort that fires. That earned a longer look. Not amusement, approval. Mistress Blackwood crossed the room and unlocked a tall cabinet. From within, she withdrew a mahogany case, darkened nearly black with age. She set it upon the counter, lifted the lid. Crimson velvet, 2 pistols. Kane said nothing. The silence belonged to craftsmen and customers alike. Eventually she spoke.
Finish them, the winter passed. He did not see the spring.
Her fingers rested lightly against the lid.
No buyer.
Kane lifted one, balanced it, felt the weight settle naturally into his hand. Not ornament, purpose. His thumb tested the mechanism. The lock moved with clean certainty. Unusual.
That they are.
Her eyes watched the pistol, not the man holding it.
My husband built them for a new way of loading. One out of the German wars. The Swedes carry it now.
Kane looked up. She drew a small box from beneath the counter and set it open beside the case. Within lay rows of slim paper twists, each no longer than a finger, the ends sealed.
Powder and ball wound together in paper.
She lifted one between two fingers.
A man bites the end, pours the charge, rams the paper down for wadding, ball and all. One motion where you had four.
Her eyes came up.
My husband cut the barrels and the locks to suit them, faster than any horn and ladle. A man might fire all 4 shots before another has charged his second.
Kane turned the piece in the grey light. 2 barrels laid side by side, level as a yoke. Twin locks, twin frisons, 4 shots between the pair. The sort of weapon built by a man who expected difficult circumstances and meant to be ready for them twice over before reaching for the blade. Whose commission?
His own.
No hesitation.
He believed the loading would change the trade. He died before he could prove it.
And yet these you would part with. A pause. Mistress Blackwood regarded him steadily.
My husband built tools.
Her gaze drifted briefly toward the workbench.
Tools are meant to be used. They keep no virtue lying in velvet.
Kane nodded once. He returned the pistol to the velvet. What is your price? She named it. Kane placed the strange coin upon the counter. For the first time, her composure shifted. Not much. Enough. She took it up, turned it once beneath the light. The workshop grew quiet.
I've not seen a mint mark like this.
Nor have I. Her eyes rose, and for a moment the two of them regarded one another across the counter.
The pistols are yours, the cartridges besides, as many as you can carry. I will show you the loading before you go, if you have the patience to learn it.
I have managed harder things.
So I would guess.
Kane lifted the case, turned toward the door. Master Blackwood was a fortunate man. The widow stood very still, not surprised, not embarrassed, simply still. After a moment, she inclined her head. Then she looked at him directly, as though something yet remained unsettled between them.
And you, Master?
She let it hang, not prying. A craftswoman leaving a space where a part belonged. Kane, he said. Solomon Kane. She took the name and set it where she set all things, with care, in its place.
And you, Master Kane, appear to be a man who will give them honest work.
Kane stepped into the grey Salem morning, and the widow of Ezekiel Blackwood returned to her bench, where steel, fire, and patience waited exactly where she had left them. The town gave him 2 days to spend, and no honest way he wished to spend them. He took a room above the tavern, where the window looked down upon the harbour road and the grey water beyond. The Covenant lay at her moorings, sails furled, waiting on the tide and the weather both. A man could watch her from the glass and know, without counting, how many hours remained before she carried him from this place. He watched other things besides. The woman and her son were nowhere in the daylight. He marked it the first day, and did not trust the marking, and marked it again the second, and the second marking was the same as the first. No room held them, no house claimed them. The market did not know their faces, and the well drew them no water. By day there was no quarter of Salem a man could enter and find them within it. And Kane looked, in the quiet, thorough way he had come to look at all things, and Salem gave them back to him, nowhere at all. And at sundown they were there, always at sundown, never before. Not come down a road, nor up from the water, nor in at any gate a man could name. The light failed, and where there had been no woman and no boy in all the town, there were now the two of them, as though the dusk had not brought them, but only ceased at last to hide them. The mother, worn down to the bone with worry, her face the face of a woman watching a thing she loves change into something she cannot follow. And the boy beside her, easy, unhurried, calm as a stone set in a running stream, with the water going past him and around him, and the stone untroubled by any of it. The cold did not touch him. Salem in late October bit hard at dusk, and men hunched into their coats, and the women drew their shawls, and the boy went bareheaded through it with the color high in no part of his face. He did not redden, he did not tire, he did not, that Kane ever saw, sleep. The town did not remark on any of it. A town sees what it looks for, and no man in Salem was looking. But Kane had paid their passage at the dock with his own coin, and a man does not buy a fare and then lose the sight of it. So Kane watched, and in the daylight hours there was nothing his watching found. A man cannot watch a window forever, and Kane had never been one to try. When the day was spent, he went down to the tavern below to take meat and drink among the living, as a man does who means to keep the use of his own mind. The room was the usual room. Dock hands, a carter, two farmers in from the outlying ground, the talk running low and easy over the fire. Kane sat with his back to the wall and his cup before him, and the cased pistols rode beneath his coat, where his hand could find them without looking. He had marked, without yet knowing the reason, a pair of men at a corner table who held themselves apart from the rest. Quiet, watchful, drinking little and drinking slow. Then the door came hard against the wall. And the cold poured in behind a man who could scarce find the breath to speak. Murdered, he got the word out, and then the rest of it.
The harbour master, dead at the wharf. God keep us. Done to death down at the wharf.
The room came up all at once into noise, and the two quiet men in the corner rose, unhurried, the way men rise who already know the night belongs to them. And as they crossed toward the door, the firelight caught what their coats had hidden. Badges, the sheriff, and his deputy. They had been in the room the whole while. Kane sat very still a moment longer. The harbor master. The man he had faced at the dock not 3 days gone. The one whose eyes had crawled over the woman and her boy until Kane had set his coin down and ended the matter. The first man in Salem Kane had dealt with. Dead. He rose and went out after the lawmen into the dark. They had brought lanterns down to the wharf, and the lantern light made the thing worse, not better. The harbor master lay where he had fallen, near the pilings, the black water sucking at the wood below him. The sheriff crouched over the body. The deputy held the light. Kane came up to the edge of the lantern's reach and stopped, and read what was written there as plainly as another man reads a hand of script. There was no blood. That was the whole of it, and it was everything. A man done to death at a wharf is a red business. The planks take their share, and the tide line, and the dead man's own coat. There had been violence here. The throat told that much. But the planks were dry. The coat was dry. The man had been emptied as a wineskin is emptied, and the dark had drunk what came out of him, and left not a drop for the lanterns to find. The sheriff did not see it. He was looking for the knife, and the man who had carried it, and the grievance that had set him on. He would look a long while. There was no knife in this, and no man either. And the grievance was older than Salem, older than the name the Nomkeg had carried before the town was a town. Kane lifted his eyes from the body, and at the far edge of the lantern light, where the dark began, the boy stood watching. The mother was not with him. He had come alone, out of the dark and back into it, to look upon what had been done, or to learn whether any man yet knew what had done it. His face held nothing, not fear, nor cunning, nor the small hunger of a child come to gawk at a corpse. Only that stillness, the stone in the running stream. For the space of a breath, the boy's eyes found Kane's across the lantern light and held them. And there was a question in them old enough to have watched empires lie down and rot. Do you know then? And Kane gave him back nothing at all. The boy turned and walked into the dark. Kane did not follow. Not yet. He walked back up the harbor road instead, slow, the pistols heavy and certain beneath his arm, and let the cold work the thing through in him. The harbor master who had crossed Kane at the dock, dead the same night Kane had armed himself. And there was but one other soul in all this town that Kane had truly dealt with. One other hand he had taken coin to and coin from, and she had stood among her dead husband's barrels not 6 hours past, and told him that tools were meant to be used. The thing was feeding along the line of his own passage. It was eating the men and women Salem had set in his path, and that was no glutton's accident. A glutton takes the weak and the near. This took the marked, the ones Kane had touched, and left the rest of the town to sleep. And there it was at last, the thing he had carried since he came ashore and had not found the word for. He had come up into a year that was not the year he fell from. 57 winters past his own, and from the first hour the air of it had not sat right upon him, as though the dark of this age had been waiting on him, had known the shape of his coming before ever he came. He had named it the strangeness of a strange shore, and let it lie. He could not let it lie now. His instinct spoke it plain where his reason would not stoop to. This hunting was no chance-born thing. It was aimed. It was a word spoken across the dark, and the word was his own name, and the speaker of it knew he had climbed back into the world of the living and did not mean to suffer it quietly. Something had marked his climb up out of the deep, or had never needed to mark it, having known the door he would come through before he came to it. He did not go up to his room. He went instead to the edge of the town, where the last houses gave way to the low, wet ground, and stood a long while looking out across the marshes. The dark lay over them flat and patient. Somewhere out in that black water the thing bedded down by day and rose by night, and the air that came off it carried the same wrongness Kane had breathed since he came ashore, the sense of a country that had been expecting him.
Yesterday's flame. I run, but don't know where. I run, but don't know where. Are you the pilot of this flesh? Is it the darkness or the light's caress? The struggles I grind all your fears. Shed the pain with all those tears. Break me down, till there's nothing left but truth.
not sleep that night. He had not looked to. At first light he went down to the tavern, before the fires were well caught, and found the man who kept it, and the wife who kept it with him, and the Negro they housed in the back and worked for his lodging. Kane set coin upon the board, good coin, and enough of it, and asked what they could tell him of the deaths in Salem, and of a woman and a boy of foreign complexion, the mother speaking with the accent of the Hungarian lands. The tavern keeper's face went honest and blank. "We've had no such trouble here, sir. Not of that kind. A drowning now and again, a man took by drink or the cold, but nothing of the sort you're putting to me." He spread his hands. "Salem's a quiet town." But he glanced, as he said it, toward the man who served them, the way a master glances at a servant to be told he is right. And the servant did not tell him he was right. "The mother and the boy, sir." The helper spoke low, and did not raise his eyes from the floor, in the manner of a man who has learned that the truth costs less when it is offered small.
Foreign-looking, the both of them, well-dressed. I saw them the first time 5 nights gone.
He paused, and something moved in him at the remembering.
It was the oddest thing I ever did see, and I've not spoke it to a soul, for there's no speaking it that doesn't sound like madness. They didn't come down any road, sir. They didn't come in at the gate. They rose up out of the marsh ground, the both of them, dressed and standing, the way you'd rise up out of a bed, out of the wet earth. I watched them do it, and then I went inside and barred the door, and I have not looked out upon that ground after dark since.
5 nights. Kane stood very still, with the cold morning coming grey through the shutters, and the last of his doubt went out of him. 5 nights gone was the span of his own coming. The vortex, the river, the lodge of the Nomcake, the ride east to this place. The thing had not been in Salem before him and waited. It had come up out of the ground, the very nights he had come up out of the deep, on the far side of the same dark door. It had risen when he rose. It had been set walking the moment he was, and aimed at the towns that would set their people in his path. And what he had felt as the strangeness of a strange shore, he knew now for what it was. He had been answered. Something had marked his climb back into the world of the living, and did not mean to suffer it in silence, and had spoken its first word in the bloodless dead of a quiet town that would never know it had been spoken to. Kane gathered his coin back but for a piece, and left that piece before the servant who had given him the truth, and went out into the morning with the day to spend and the dusk to wait for. They came from the marshes at dusk, always from the marsh side, as though the low, wet ground gave them up each evening and took them back each dawn. So when the light began to fail, Kane took the shadows along the marsh road and set his back to a wall where the dark was deepest. And he waited, and he watched, with a pistol in each hand and the dogs of both locks drawn back. He had not waited long when he saw the widow. She had closed her shop and barred it, and was walking home through the emptying town, a shawl drawn close, a small lamp in her hand throwing a little ring of light that the night closed over behind her. An honest woman, going honestly to her bed. The only other soul in Salem that Kane had dealt with. The next name on the reckoning. And out of the marsh dark behind her came the woman and the boy, and they fell in upon her trail. The boy went first to the watching. Kane saw it, the small head turning, marking the widow, marking the lane, marking the dark. The mother let the boy lead and kept herself back. And then, between one shadow and the next, the mother was not there at all. And Kane's blood went cold in him, for he knew now what her going meant. He moved. He went through the town the way he had learned to go through worse places than towns. Parallel, never in the lane, always in the dark, a wall's breadth from the light. He kept the widow's little lamp in the corner of his eye, and the boy's small shape ahead of it, and he closed the ground between them stride by silent stride. Then the lamp turned a corner and was gone, and the widow with it. He had lost her. There was no time left for stealth. Kane fixed on the one thing he could still see, the boy, and came out of the shadow and went after him at a dead run, for where the watchman went, the rest of the thing would not be far, and the widow's life was counting itself out in the dark ahead. The boy slipped into an alley between the harbor sheds. Kane reached its mouth and checked. And looked down its length and saw the boy was walking, and he was not alone. He had hold of a hand, and the hand was a woman's, and he led her along the alley, easy and unhurried, the two of them strolling the night dark, the way a mother and her child stroll home of an evening, save that the woman had no head upon her shoulders, and walked headless and certain at the boy's side, with her fingers laced through his. The mother Kane had shown his mercy to at the dock, walking hand in hand with her boy. Kane sprinted. The boy turned at the sound of him, and the child's face was gone. What looked back at Kane down the dark of the alley was the thing beneath the face, all hunger and old hate and teeth. And Kane brought the first pistol up and blew its head from its shoulders before the snarl was full formed. headless body of the mother let go the boy's hand and lunged. It came at him faster than a thing without eyes had any right to come, and Kane gave it the second barrel of the first pistol, and then the first of the second. 2 balls into the chest at the range of an outstretched arm, and the form folded and went down and lay still upon the stones. He did not trust the stillness. He had learned, in towns whose names he had let himself forget, what such stillness was worth. He set the spent pistols by, and drew the rapier, and drove it down through where the boy's heart had been, and held it there, both hands upon the hilt, until he was certain, wholly certain, that the thing was done. Then he heard the scream. A woman's scream off through the quiet streets. The sound of a soul let suddenly out of the jaws of its ending. Kane pulled the steel free and ran toward it. He found the widow Blackwood fallen upon the cobbles, her lamp guttering on its side beside her, her hands over her face, alive, whole, screaming at the thing that lay an arm's length from her in the road. It was a head, a woman's head, or what had worn that shape. It lay upon the cobblestones, dried and ashen and greyed, the corpse light gone out of it, withered in the instant Kane had emptied the body that bore it across the breadth of the town. It had come for the widow's throat, and found nothing left to return to, and it had died there in the road, with its hunger unfinished. Kane stood over it a moment, breathing the cold, the rapier wet in his hand. The widow did not know him for her deliverer, and Kane did not tell her. He had paid her coin and brought her death to her door by the paying of it, and he had taken that death back again, and the account was square. That was enough. A man does not stand in the road and wait to be thanked for the dark. He turned from her and went back up toward the harbor, where the Covenant lay against the morning tide. At first light, he boarded her alone. The 2 days Salem had given him were spent. The thing that had walked its dusk was walked no more, and the town would wake to a sheriff hunting a knife that did not exist, and never know the verdict that had passed over it in the night. Kane stood at the rail as they cast off, and watched the grey roofs and the marsh beyond them fall away across the widening water. He felt no triumph. There was never triumph in it. Only the cold knowledge of a thing set right that should never have needed setting. And beneath that, colder still, the certainty the bloodless dead had given him, that this had been the first word and not the last. Something had spoken his name across the dark, and would speak it again. The thing in the marsh had risen when he rose. Whatever had sent it knew the door he had come through, and was waiting somewhere ahead on the long road east. His first since hell. There would be others. There were always others. The wind took the sails, and Salem went down into the sea behind him. And Solomon Kane turned his face toward Britain and the long road waiting beyond it.
Chasing shadows, losing face. Are you the storm or just the rain? The healing touch, your source of